Have you ever been in a room full of people who are supposed to understand you, but no one really does? In Jumping Monkey Hill, a story from the thing around your neck, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie takes us into the tense and politically charged space of writers' workshop held at the retreat in South Africa. The workshop is organized for promising African writers and is meant to offer mentorship, recognition, and exposure. On the surface, it is a celebration of African storytelling. Beneath that surface, however, lies a quiet but powerful struggle over authority, authenticity, and who has the right to define African literature. The protagonist, Ujunwa, is a young Nigerian writer who arrives at Jumping Monkey Hill filled with excitement and nervous anticipation. She has been selected as one of the handful of participants from across the continent. There are writers from countries such as Kenya, Senegal, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. Each of them carries ambitions and hope. For many, this workshop represents validation, the possibility of being seen and taken seriously. The workshop is led by a white British man whom everyone refers to as Edward Compel. From the very beginning, his presence seems to shape the whole discussion and view of Africa. He speaks confidently about what makes a story, quote unquote, truly African. His tone is authoritative, sometimes patronizing. As the participants begin to share their work, subtle patterns emerge. Edward praises stories that align with familiar Western image of Africa, that is, images of war, poverty, political corruption, child soldiers, and suffering. When a Senegalese writer presents a story that fits these themes, Edward responds enthusiastically, calling it, quote unquote, real and powerful. But when another participant offers something different, perhaps a story about middle class life, personal relationships, and modern urban experiences, Edward questions its authenticity. He suggests it is not, quote unquote, African enough. Ujuno watches carefully. She begins to notice that the stories being validated as those that confirm a particular narrative of Africa. That is, Africa as a continent defined by tragedy and hardship. Stories that complicate or expand that image are treated with suspicion. In one striking moment, a female participant shares a story involving sexuality and personal autonomy. Edward dismisses it harshly, implying that it is inappropriate or unrealistic. The room grows quiet. No one wants to challenge him openly. The power imbalance is clear. He controls the praise, he controls the criticism, and possibly future opportunities. Outside the formal sessions, the tension continues. During group meals and social gathering, Edward makes comments that reveal underlying prejudice. He flirts inappropriately with Ujuno, reducing her appearance rather than respecting her as a writer. His behavior exposes another layer of power gender dynamics within a space already shaped by colonial hierarchies. Ujunwa feels uncomfortable but unsure how to respond. She is aware that speaking up could jeopardize her standing in the workshop. Internally, she struggles with doubts. She begins to question her own writing. Should she adjust her stories to fit what Edward seems to want? Should she focus on the themes of suffering and violence because they are more likely to be praised? Or should she remain true to her experiences of the contemporary Nigerian life? That is, stories of complexity, stories with humor, ambition, and contradiction. The pressure to perform a certain version of Africanness weighs heavily on her. The climax of the story comes during a workshop discussion when Ujuno finally decides to speak. Gathering her courage, she challenges Edward's narrow definition of African literature. She points out that Africa is not a single story. Africa is not a collection of stereotypes meant to satisfy foreign expectations. Her voice trembles, but she does not back off. Her act of resistance is quiet. It's quiet but powerful. The room shifts. Some participants avoid eye contact, fearful of conflict. Others feel a spark of recognition. Ujuno's courage lies not in dynamic confrontation, but in a refusal to remain silent. She reclaims her authority over her own narrative. Through this story, Chimamanda explores broader themes of representation, themes of identity, and the lingering influence of colonial power structure. The workshop becomes a microcosm of global literary world where African stories are often filtered through Western expectations. Adichie raises a crucial question. Who determines what is authentic? Is authenticity defined by lived experiences or by what outsiders expect to see? Jumping Monkey Hill ultimately reminds us that storytelling is not just creative expression, it is power. The ability to define a narrative shapes how people and cultures are understood. By giving Ujuno the courage to speak, Adichie affirms that Africa's stories belonged first to Africans themselves. The story challenges readers to examine their own assumptions and to recognize the courage it takes to speak truth in spaces structured by inequality. In the end, the workshop setting fades, but the question remains: whose voices are amplified? Whose are dismissed? And how many writers like Ujunwa must choose between acceptance and authenticity? Through this layered and thought-provoking narrative, Adichie invites us to see storytelling not merely as an art, but as an ongoing struggle over voice, ownership, and identity. Welcome and bye-bye for now.